Okay, well, I need to move into Jeff
Yeah.
now. Let him talk a bit about education from a federal level because, you know, Trump has really tried to promote charter schools and being able to offer more choice, especially having some competition and understanding that if there's more choice, there's more competition. Some of our local school districts will naturally meet the challenge and improve and give the parents and their students what they need to to get the parents and the kids to come to their school as opposed to maybe the charter school or homeschooling.
Well, yeah, exactly. And like I mentioned earlier on, we've been homeschoolers for, over 20 years since our kids were first coming into school. And one of the reasons why we did it was because we felt the public education was starting to go the wrong direction. Um, when you've got things that are being taught or they're being introduced to in public schools that I'm a man of faith that goes against our religious beliefs. We just started to say, you know what, this is just not a place for our kids because ultimately each child has a different maturity level and where that lands in his age or her age group. It was for us as homeschoolers, we could then promote whatever education was best at that time. And this R90, I look at the R90 situation that has happened here in the state. 266,000 signatures, a record for a referendum. That tells you something about what the people in the state of Washington are feeling like. They're feeling like the state legislature pulled the wool over their eyes again by passing 5395, at 2 o'clock in the morning in April. Going back to charter schools and homeschools, you hit the nail on the head. Right now, we have a public school system that there's no competition. There's no way to measure how well they're doing because they're just following the guidelines of the public schools in that state, in this state, by our industrious superintendent. And ultimately, our children are being left behind. When you have one of the greatest economic countries in the world, and we're like 17th in education in the world, what's wrong with that? We're doing something wrong in education. And when you have teachers who are protected, even though they're not doing a good job, I have friends who are teachers, and they tell me about how there's always one or two teachers in their schools that they wish they could get rid of, but they can't because they're not doing their job and they're not teaching their kids. And so the other teachers have to make up for that lost ground. Charter schools are a way, they have to do good. Because guess what? If a charter school doesn't do good, people aren't going to re-enroll in it. And online schooling has become the norm now. Now that we've all been kind of forced into it, I think a lot of parents out there were wondering, okay, can I ever do online schooling? I just don't think I can make it. And everybody keeps telling them, no, it's too hard. It's too hard. Well, guess what? We've all been forced into it. They say that when school opens up in September, there is a good chance 10 and as much as maybe 20% of kids won't return.
Yeah,
and what
I've
does that
heard
mean?
as high as 40% personally.
Well, exactly. The school districts need every kid because every kid brings a certain dollar value, whether it's $9,000, $12,000, $15,000 a kid. All of a sudden, if you lose 10% of the kids in your school district because they're now homeschooling, that school district absolutely cannot even run because they don't have a budget to afford it. And it only takes 10% of the kids to leave. And right now, parents are realizing the crud that their kids were being taught because they're now part of the system, which they should have been before, but now they've been forced into it. So I think this has been a good thing. It's been an eye-opener for families to see what has happened to our school system and to our kids. And I think a lot of parents have decided, geez, my daughter is excelling on this online thing, and she's making that A. But her friend is sitting back doing nothing. And guess what? She's getting an A too. Where is the equity in that?
Right.
So again, we go back to, I think that the Trump administration pushing charter schools is a great thing. It's something I know I personally will be doing. I think we need to be shifting our education so that we, put people in a position where they actually have to teach and do a good job. And if they don't, guess what? You're gone.
Yeah. I mean, there are exceptions to every rule, but kids can learn if there's enough variety out there of educational opportunities in order to learn. And we really, we really have, there's a lot of really great things that we can do with online teaching, but there is still a really important factor in there with having that person to person level as well. And I'm hoping that somewhere they're going to be able to put this together, and make it work, because we've got a real issue going on, because we've got kids who they might have got an A or didn't fail, but when they get to school in the fall, they're supposed to be at a certain page in their education, and they will not be there, and they will forever be behind because of it, unless there is some way that they address in getting these kids the education that they missed out this year. And because you've got a whole group of kindergartners coming in too, that's going to create a big crush on the schools, districts, their budgets, their space. So yeah, this is a big deal, and it's something that we should be dealing with right now, which is why the state legislature should be in session right now, because it's going to be a big deal. And it's
Well, the other thing that's gone on too is that you're now seeing UW and other colleges across the nation. They're no longer relying on the SAT score or
right.
the ACT score or whatever score test that they were using as a monitor, because they're realizing those test scores are only one identifier of what your student is going to be like. And in fact, a lot of times it doesn't measure the student who may have gotten, a 700 or an 800. When they enter college, their whole life changes, and they may become one of the best students ever. And that test score would have kept them out. And this standardized testing that we have across the nation, every student, every community, every state has to have the same test standardized. We have different communities with different needs, and you can't have just a standardized test to measure everything, because all you're doing then as an education system is educating to test. Mm-hmm. And that's not actually educating. So we need to change how we go about, our education system in general. Back when I was a kid, we had shop class, we had auto, we had woodwork, we had welding, we had all these different things.
Home economics.
Yeah, we got to be able to dabble in all those different things. And heck, I did sewing. I created pillowcases, and I made a shirt. It wasn't a very wearable shirt, but it was a shirt.
Yeah, you created a budget. You did menu planning, all sorts of things that helped you to be able to be a responsible adult and not, exactly.
We've lost that in today's education. It's gone. And those are the things that we can carry. I carry those types of things with me throughout my life. I know now I can not burn water anymore. I'm really good at it. But, what it really comes down to, though, is I learned what I found I liked and what I didn't like. It helped me make decisions later on in life. So we need to change our education backwards.